I know what the internet says about me. They think I traded my soulmate for a fantasy, that I got exactly what I deserved when I ended up with nothing. But that's not what happened. Not really. I did say those things, the jokes everyone keeps quoting, but they don't understand the context. I wasn't being shallow, I was testing something, testing him. And I can't stop replaying the moment I realized my test ruined everything. My mother taught me to measure love in security. She'd spent her life with men who couldn't pay rent, who borrowed from her purse when they thought she wasn't looking. So when I started dating Jake, she had questions, constant questions. Does he have a 401k? What's his 5-year plan? I laughed her off at first. Jake was different. He was creative, passionate about his graphic design and weekend music gigs. But somewhere in my chest, her voice became my voice. I started making these little jokes to him. If you don't start charging more for your work, I might have to marry that tech guy from my office. I'd say it while making coffee, my back turned so I couldn't see his face fall. It was supposed to be motivation, that's what I told myself. The first time I made the joke, we were living in that studio apartment with the shower that only ran cold. I was staring at a 12 avocado toast charge on our shared credit card, and the words just came out. One more charge like this and I'm running off with the first guy who drives a Tesla. He laughed, I think he laughed. But later I found him researching business courses online, his search history full of how to price freelance work and graphic design salary negotiation. I felt this twist of satisfaction. See, it was working. He was finally taking his career seriously. I started keeping a tally in my head. Every time he chose a cheap beer over investing in his portfolio, every time he took a low-paying gig for exposure, I'd make another joke. My coworkers knew about it. Sarah from accounting would ask, still waiting for that millionaire? And I'd roll my eyes but feel something tighten in my stomach. I wasn't actually looking, I wasn't. But the jokes became my shield against the fear that I'd end up like my mother, old and broke, waiting tables to cover a deadbeat's half of the rent. Then Marcus transferred to our office. He was everything Jake wasn't on paper. Tailored suits, a BMW that purred in the parking lot, talked about his condo in Miami like it was a timeshare. He started leaving coffee on my desk. For the woman with the $1 million smile, his notes said, I told Jake about it as a funny story, making it sound ridiculous. Can you believe this guy? I laughed, but I kept the coffee cups, I don't know why. Maybe I like seeing my name written in his expensive pen. Maybe I liked the way my coworkers' eyes widened when they saw Marcus paying attention to me. One Friday, Marcus asked me to drinks, to discuss a project. I told Jake I was going out with the girls, just a casual lie, the kind that slides off the tongue when you're not ready to explain. At the bar, Marcus ordered $200 scotch like it was water. He asked about my life, my goals. No one had asked me that in years. When Jake and I talked, it was always about his art, his dreams. This felt adult, secure. I left after one drink, but Marcus's business card felt heavy in my purse all weekend. I didn't tell Jake about the card, instead I made another joke. Marcus at work keeps asking if I want to see his boat. Should I go just to report back? Jake was hunched over his laptop, revising a logo for the 100th time. Whatever makes you happy, he said without looking up. I couldn't tell if it was defeat or trust in his voice. I told myself it was trust, that he knew I was just being funny. The next week, Marcus invited me to a gallery opening. Clients will be there, he said. Could be good networking for your guy, actually. That justification was so perfect I almost believed it. I bought a new dress, told Jake it was a work event. He offered to come. It's just boring finance people, I said. You'd hate it. He nodded, kissed my forehead, went back to his project. I saw the questions in his eyes, but I looked away. At the gallery, Marcus introduced me as his friend from the office. But his hand stayed on my lower back. He bought me a champagne that cost more than our weekly grocery bill. We talked about travel, about investment properties, about a life that felt like a movie I wasn't cast in. He drove me home in his BMW, and when he leaned in at the stoplight, I didn't pull away. It was just a moment, a test. I was testing whether I could feel something for someone who could provide security. That's what I told myself at 2 a.m., deleting Marcus's texts so Jake wouldn't see. But I kept seeing him, always with a justification, always with a story for Jake that was 90% true. Marcus took me to restaurants where the bill could cover our rent. He talked about flying me to Paris for a weekend, and I listened. I listened hard. Not because I loved him, I barely liked him, but because those words felt like safety, like proof that I was worth more than thrift store furniture and ramen budget dates. Jake started working longer hours. He landed a freelance project for a startup, pouring everything into it. This could be big, he said, his eyes tired but excited. I made a joke. Big enough to buy me that Tesla? He didn't laugh this time. He just looked at me, really looked, and said, Is that what this is about? The car, I backpedaled, said I was kidding, but the air in our apartment had changed. It tasted like the beginning of the end. Marcus invited me to Miami. Just for 2 days, I have a conference. You can work from the hotel. I told Jake I had a mandatory training, booked the ticket before I could change my mind. In Miami, Marcus's condo overlooked the ocean. He bought me a bikini that cost $300. We had dinner on a yacht. I posted one photo, just the ocean view, no people. Jake liked it immediately. Beautiful, he commented. Wish I was there with you. My stomach dropped. I turned off my phone. When I got back, Jake's project had launched. It was a mobile game interface and it was taking off. He'd made more in 1 week than he had all month. He was talking about quitting his day job. I should have been happy. Instead, I felt this weird panic. Like the ground was shifting under my feet. I made a joke. So when do I get my yacht? He set down his phone. I'm trying here, he said. I'm really trying, but I need to know, are you with me or are you waiting for the upgrade? I got defensive. Told him he was being insecure, that my jokes were just jokes. But that night I went through my texts with Marcus and deleted the whole thread. Not because I was guilty, I told myself, but because Jake wouldn't understand the context. The context being that I'd spent a weekend in another man's condo, wearing another man's gifts, wondering if I should make the jump. That was the word I used in my head, jump. Like Jake was a sinking ship and Marcus was a life raft. 2 weeks later, Marcus told me he was getting transferred to the London office. Asked me to come with him. We could have a real life there, he said, not this playing house you're doing. I told him I needed time. Went home and looked at Jake, asleep on our second-hand couch, his laptop glowing with user reviews of his game. People loved it. He was going to make it. I could see it now, clear as day, and I felt this terror. Because if he made it, then all my jokes would be just jokes, but if he didn't, I'd be my mother. I'd be 50 and tired and broke. I told Marcus yes. Told him I'd meet him in London in a month after I sorted things here. That was my plan, a clean break. I'd leave Jake a letter explaining that I needed more, that I couldn't wait anymore. It wasn't about the money I'd write. It was about stability, about not wanting to be the villain in my own story. But I didn't write the letter. I couldn't find the words that didn't make me sound like the person I was becoming. Instead, I pushed Jake. I picked fights over dishes, over bills, over his lack of ambition. The night I told him I needed space, he cried. I thought we were a team, he said. I thought you believed in me. I told him I did, but my eyes were on my phone waiting for Marcus's confirmation about the flight. Jake packed a bag and went to his sister's. I'll give you your space, he said, but this isn't about space, is it? I didn't answer. The day before I was supposed to fly to London, Marcus called. Change of plans, he said. My wife isn't happy about the London idea. We're working things out. The word wife landed like a fist. I'd known, I think. I'd seen the ring line on his finger. I'd ignored it because the fantasy was too good. I sat in my empty apartment and realized I'd given up my actual life for a lie. Then Jake's game went viral. Not just viral, explosive. A major studio bought it. The news articles showed him at a press conference wearing a blazer I'd never seen, standing next to investors. He looked like a different person. The caption read, from struggling artist to millionaire developer in 6 months. I did the math. Those were the months I'd been seeing Marcus. The months I'd been making my jokes. The months I'd been pushing him away. I texted him. Saw the news. I'm so proud of you. He read it immediately. The 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, thanks. Hope you got what you were looking for. I called. He didn't answer. I went to his sister's house, but she wouldn't open the door. You made your choice, she yelled through the window. Now live with it. That was 8 months ago. Jake moved out of the state, bought a house in California. I saw it on Instagram, mid-century modern pool, the kind of place Marcus would have loved. He's dating someone new. She posts pictures of his concerts, his design work, their life. She never jokes about Tesla. She just says, I'm proud of you, and means it. I kept my job. Marcus is gone. My coworkers don't make jokes anymore. They just give me that look, the one that says they know. Sarah from accounting saw me crying in the break room after Jake's engagement post. You okay? She asked. I wanted to tell her everything, how I tested the wrong thing, how I'd let my mother's fear become my own until I couldn't see what I had. Instead, I said allergies and walked away. My mother calls weekly. Any good prospects? She asks. I tell her I'm taking a break from dating. She sighs. Don't wait too long, you're not getting younger. I hang up and look at the photo I keep hidden in my drawer, Jake and me at a music festival, his arms around me, both of us laughing at something off camera. We look happy. We were happy. I just couldn't believe it was enough. Last week, a mutual friend sent me a screenshot. Jake's fiancée had posted their engagement photo. He'd proposed on the beach at sunset. She'd written, to the man who taught me that love isn't about what you have, but who you are. I've never met someone more deserving of every good thing. The comments were full of people who knew us. He upgraded, one read. So did she, another replied. Good riddance to gold diggers. I didn't sleep that night. I deleted all my social media, not because of the comments, but because I couldn't stop looking at her face. She looks at him like he's the only person in the world. I used to look at him like that, before the jokes, before the fear. Before I decided to test a love that was never supposed to be an exam. I started therapy last month. My therapist asked me when I first started feeling like I wasn't enough. I told her about my mother, about the jokes, about Jake. She stopped me mid-sentence. You keep saying you were testing him, but it sounds like you were testing yourself. You wanted to see if you were the kind of person who could choose love over security. She let that hang in the air. I couldn't answer. We both knew I had chosen wrong. The hardest part isn't that he's rich now. It said he was always rich in talent, in kindness, in the way he looked at me like I was enough. And I couldn't see it. I was too busy looking at Marcus's BMW, at his boat, at the life I thought I wanted. I was so focused on not becoming my mother that I became someone worse. Someone who saw love as a transaction, who turned their partner into a project, who tested loyalty like it was a game and then cried when they lost. I keep thinking about that night in Miami. Marcus had asked me what I wanted. I'd said a life that feels safe. He'd smiled, kissed my hand. I can give you that. But sitting in his condo, looking at the ocean, I'd felt anything but safe. I'd felt hollow, because safety isn't a boat or a condo or a Tesla. Safety is someone who looks at you across a messy apartment and says, "We'll figure this out together." Safety is knowing someone's got your back when you have nothing, not when you have everything. Jake is getting married in June. I know because his sister posted the save the date and someone sent it to me. I think they wanted me to hurt. It worked. But not for the reasons they think. It's not that he's rich now and I'm not with him. It's that he's happy, truly happy, with someone who never made him feel like he had to earn her love, someone who never tested him, someone who just loved him. My lease is up next month. I'm thinking about moving back home to the small town where my mother still lives, where everyone knows everyone's business, where they'll whisper about me in the grocery store. That's the girl who left that nice boy right before he made it big. They'll be right. That's exactly who I am. Yesterday, I found the letter I'd started writing to Jake 8 months ago. The one I never sent. It was full of excuses. I was scared. I didn't know what I wanted. I thought I was protecting myself. I tore it up. He doesn't need my explanations. He doesn't need my confessions. He doesn't need me. I'm telling this story now because today would have been our 5-year anniversary. I had it marked in my calendar. A little heart emoji next to the date, a tradition I forgot to delete. And I guess I needed someone to know the truth, not the internet version, not the gold digger gets what she deserves version, but the real, pathetic, terrified version. The version where a woman who loved a man destroyed everything because she was too scared to believe that love was enough. The truth is, I wasn't testing Jake. I was testing myself, and I failed. I failed so spectacularly that I lost the only person who ever made me feel like I didn't have to be anyone but me. The jokes weren't about him. They were about me. Every single one was a question I was too afraid to ask directly. Am I enough for you? Are we enough? Is love without